Greetings and salutations. I'm the fallen angel Christopher Daniels.
Hello, yes, Danhausen here to tell you, deliver a very nice, very evil message, if you will.
This is NXT superstar Dexter Lumis.
What's up, everybody? It's me, your buddy, your pal, Scott Stanford.
Hey, this is Big Sexy Kevin Nash.
This is the former intellectual savior of the masses, now known as Aaron Stevens, your NWA third-degree national champion.
This is Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, the role model, and you are listening to Greg Morgan with Good Mic Work Commentaries.
And I want to tell you, Greg, your buddy Howie, also known as Wheezy, as you call him, he told me all about your channel. I'm here to tell everybody that I've seen it, I've watched it, I've looked at it. I went down the rabbit hole and I couldn't get out of it. It was so good.
Yeah, you better watch this channel. You better watch all the videos.
I'm about to go and watch a few videos myself.
Watch them 5 times a piece. That's right, I said 5 times a piece. Do it. You know, you've been a fan for like 40 years. I've only been doing it for 30, so I guess we're fans together there for 10 of it. Do it.
He's not going to fill your head with bullshit. He's going to tell you real deal, what's up, and that's that.
Do it.
Good Mic Work is the place to be for all your wrestling information, guaranteed.
The best wrestling content is right here at Good Mic Work Commentaries.
Good Mic Work Commentaries.
Good Mic Work Commentaries.
Good Mic Work Commentaries.
Check out Good Mic Work Commentaries.
Good Mic Work Commentaries.
Check out Good Mic Work Commentaries on YouTube.
Subscribe, share, love, like, poke, whatever you need to do.
If you don't, we're gonna have a problem.
Love that, Danhausen. Love that Good Mic Work Commentaries.
Do it now.
You're welcome.
What's going on, everyone? Good Mic Work Commentaries back at you. The WWE Legends Raw here for January 4th, 2020 is in the books, and up until the very end, up until an absolutely fantastic main event and a surprise appearance by a legend, this was one of the worst Monday Night Raws I've ever fucking seen in my life. It was terrible. If this was WWE's idea of getting the ratings back on track, I don't know how really well this played out, except for maybe at the very end. And even the very end, I'm sure, didn't really excite a lot of people, myself included. The last person I want to see back around right now is fucking Goldberg. But he's here, and he has officially challenged Drew McIntyre to face him at the Royal Rumble, and that looks like the match we're getting. If this happened a year before or a year ago, I would have laughed at it and said, no way in hell Goldberg stands any chance of winning here. But based on what he did to The Fiend, I am always going to be nervous about shit like this. So we'll see where this goes. I am not even over here in the chat yet looking at it because I'm still trying to update my my thumbnail on this. There we go. Let me get back to where I need to be so I can see everybody and see who's here. There we go. All right, good. And I can see myself and hear myself as well. You prefer Goldberg to nobody. It's fine. It's funny because Drew seems like he's got a ton of challengers right now for the Royal Rumble anyway. And I was also happy to see a clean finish in the main event. But you need to have a big match, a big headlining match for a pay-per-view like the Royal Rumble that's becoming bigger and bigger every year. So I'm fine with that. Goldberg's also tossed out ideas about facing Roman Reigns again. I mean, maybe this is his career send-off to do a job for the two, champions in the company. That would be great, if Drew beat him at the Royal Rumble and then Roman beat him at WrestleMania or something. But imagine Goldberg and Roman at WrestleMania. That would suck. Why would Goldberg even get that chance? He just lost to Drew. I don't know. I'd rather see anything else. As long as Goldberg goes down, I'm actually fine with him being there. We talked about that too a couple of weeks ago on the podcast. I said, if Goldberg got in the ring with Roman Reigns and that was his final match and Roman put him down and beat him like a dog, would be a great way. It would be a good feather in the cap for Roman, make him even stronger. And he actually finally officially gets to retire someone for real this time. And Goldberg, unless Goldberg reneges on it like Taker did. And then I'd be fine with it. But I don't know. Goldberg, WWE still seems to think that this guy is top money and all of that. And, they keep bringing him in. And the match against The Fiend in Saudi Arabia, it still is horrifying when I look back on it. So, I don't know. Let me just do this one other cleaning tip. I was trying to go live while updating a couple of things on the thumb at the same time. So I just wanted to finish that and officially save it, and we're good to go. Let me knock out some super chats too for those of you who are here. We have a lot to talk about tonight. We've got this entire Monday Night Raw, of course. We had night 1 of Wrestle Kingdom took place last night, which I stayed up and watched, and night 2 kicks off here in just a couple of hours, or about 4 now. 3, I guess, if you include the beginning stuff. So that'll be coming up for night 2 tonight. Night 1 was fun to watch last night. Stay up and watch some really, really good wrestling and some really, really crazy matches, and it did not disappoint. So hopefully tonight will be the same way. And here I thought WWE might up their game a bit, considering what kind of shit they're up against right now, but they did anything but, unless you count the main event, like I said. And I think Drew McIntyre and Keith Lee both deserve a ton of credit. That was a great championship match. Earlier on in the show, they started, I think the first 2 matches were like clean finishes, and that made me wonder. I'm like, are they buttering us up? Are they trying to give us these clean finishes up front because we know it's going to be some disqualification bullshit with Keith Lee later on, because it always is with him? So the fact that they actually had a match and the champion faced an opponent and beat him made me really happy. It's simple, but I think it's effective. And Drew McIntyre, as good as Keith Lee is, as much as I want to see Keith Lee be the champion one day, Drew's the champion right now, and he should be able to beat everybody else under him. So him beating Keith Lee doesn't bother me at all. I think it's good, and I'm glad that we at least got a finish, and and the champ, looked good for once on Monday Night Raw. So that wasn't too shabby. Let me shout out Barry MK 400, who's the first one in here with $5. I look forward to Goldberg beating Drew. It's going to be funny. Oh my God, I can't even imagine. No way. No way. You Watt M8, thank you as well for $5. I'm generally worried that Goldberg is going to beat Drew. You know what happened to The Fiend last year. I was just saying the same thing. Normally I'd brush off. I'm like, oh, no fucking way he's going to win. But he beat the fucking Fiend. And I guess, when you look back on it, I guess that was just a way to hand the belt off to Roman last year, and they changed gears and went with Strowman. That was really the only reason he beat the Fiend. But the fact that they put all that time and energy into that character development and that whole repackage just to get beat by fucking Goldberg, I could not believe they did that to him. So nothing is out of question here. Nothing is out of the realm of possibility. He very well could beat Drew McIntyre. People would say, oh, they would never do that. It wouldn't make sense. When the hell has the WWE ever done anything that makes sense? In WWE's universe, it might make perfect sense, and that's what worries me. Chris, appreciate the $5 as well. Bringing back Goldberg was cool in 2016, but now it's just worn out and doesn't bring any new viewers. I agree. I thought the 2016 wasn't bad. I thought it was going to be bad when Goldberg came back, but when they announced his return in the match with Brock Lesnar, and in my mind, I'm like, Goldberg hasn't been in the ring in 10 years or 12 or whatever it's been. We have no idea what he looks like. He wasn't very good back then. Now he's 12 years older. He's in his 50s or whatever the fuck. I'm like, how can this be any good at all? And they did a brilliant thing by doing a squash, swerving us, surprising the hell out of all of us. It wasn't like the Fiend. This type of squash was, I didn't even care. Everybody was like, oh my God, I can't believe you beat Brock like that. It beat the streak. But to me, it gave us that jolt, that holy shit, I didn't see that stuff coming. Plus Goldberg did look like $1 million, and I thought based on his style that he had when he was on top, based on the shape he's kept himself in, he can keep his shit relatively close to what it used to be, maybe just minus a little bit of intensity. So I was okay with the return in 2016 as well. And then I was really okay with it when he put over Brock in a pretty decent WrestleMania match. Maybe, running over Kevin Owens on the way wasn't very good either. But, if Brock went down to him in 20 seconds, Owens going down to him in a minute doesn't seem that horrible. But it was a little bit more to stomach. And I think they also did a good thing with him by not making him wear out his welcome. He was there I think if he would have been there anymore and been champion any more than a month or so, or whatever it was, that would have been bad. Because the fans were already starting to, kind of grow sour. But you could see the writing. You knew what it was leading to. It was the payoff. He beat Brock. Brock's going to beat him now for the title. It's a scenario played out many times throughout the year. So you knew what was going to happen. And I think the fans were tolerating him through that. But now he came back again and won the title against The Fiend, and now he's back again. And now you got 2 really strong champions, or at least 2 guys WWE are pushing to be strong. Roman is doing phenomenal work. Jury is still out on Drew, but WWE's trying to make him a big deal. And going down to Goldberg now is the absolute last thing that he needs. They already, in a lot of ways, in a lot of fans' minds, ruined The Fiend. It's not a word I usually like to toss around, but I kind of agree that it nearly did ruin The Fiend, or kind of did, and maybe it was led to his ultimate repackaging here. So doing this to Drew after everything you did to make him, and the beating of the Brock last year, and him kind of being the face of the pandemic era. We've gotten to know him a lot. I thought his interview on Broken Skull Sessions was great on the WWE Network. If you haven't seen that, check it out. talks a lot in depth about his career and stuff, and helps you relate to him a little bit more. So to now tear all of that down with a loss to Grandpa, God, not even WWE can be this fucking crazy. But if Goldberg's back for the Royal Rumble, doesn't it stand to reason that he'd be back for WrestleMania as well? Is he just going to come in to work the Royal Rumble and go away? If WWE's willing to offer him a WrestleMania payday, think he's going to turn that shit down? So, part of me thinks this is Goldberg, coming back, and I'm hoping that it leads to whatever final match. He has got to have his final fucking match, man. So if it's either against Drew or it's potentially against Roman, which I'd also like to see. I kind of want to see him face both, but I don't want to see him beat either. So that's going to be a lot to ask for, especially in WWE's mind and Goldberg's business mind. I don't know what he's, I don't know what his intentions are. I don't know if he wants to come back and put over the two champions and, give them those moments, but I don't know, or he might want to win one or something. I don't know. I don't want to know. I'm extremely nervous about the whole situation. Divine Ricks, thank you, man. Appreciate the $5. I would rather see Drew versus Keith at the Rumble instead of Goldberg versus Drew. I give Raw 2 out of 10. The main event was the only good thing tonight. I agree completely. 2 out of 10 sounds about right. The main event saved it. Lee and Drew did amazing work. The Goldberg stuff was a surprise, just not maybe the surprise that I really cared about or wanted to see. Drew versus Lee at the Rumble would have been great prior to their match tonight. But now that you kind of had a one-on-one match, Drew beat him, Claymored him, pinned him. I'm not sure how much interest a rematch at the Rumble will draw at this point unless you tied in a shitty finish or a heel turn or something like that. Give you a reason to do the main event. Otherwise, I would have been fine with that prior to tonight. Now I think you got to, it's going to have to be something else for Drew. And it's going to be Goldberg. Is that all of them? No, it's not. 2 more, and then we'll get into other business. Martin Can, appreciate the 5 as well. Like I said on your Twitter, we've all been baited into watching the show. Been awful, ending on a cliffhanger, which turned out to be pointless. Yeah, I mean, they were talking it up, man. We thought they would actually do something. We've seen these Legends Raws. We've seen these old school Raws. We've seen these type of Raws here and there where legends are brought in, and we've grown used to it. We've grown accustomed to the fact that they don't do much. They're brought to TV in their 60s. They spend 4 hours in hair and makeup and 11 seconds on screen. It's just the way it is now. Look at Tatanka. He got all dressed up in that getup, got his tan on, probably did some push-ups, did all that work. How long was he on screen for? He didn't even say anything. I don't know, maybe he did, but he didn't do much. So, bringing all those guys there, they're just there. They just parade them around backstage, silly little segments, interacting with current stars, and that's it. Sometimes that can be very fun, but sometimes that can be very predictable and overdone. And if they're not going to be there to serve any sort of purpose whatsoever, I don't understand why they need to be there at all. And this was one of those nights where they just shoehorned these. They're just like, oh, we're just going to throw Legends on Raw, call it a Legends Raw, but we're not going to do dick. And they didn't, literally until the end with Goldberg coming out. The only thing they did do is they allowed all the legends to watch the match on the stage. It looked like a big PTA meeting up there, and they had everybody lined up in chairs watching the main event. But other than that, they got a couple of segments backstage. We saw no Carlito. He was one of the guys I was looking most forward to. I think I said on Twitter, I'm like, where the hell is he? And people said he had some travel issues or something like that. So he wasn't able to make the show. Candice Michelle also was not on the show as well, which big deal. I think I stick up for Alicia Fox a little bit when people are like, oh, people say she's not a legend, they're assholes. And I kind of like Alicia Fox. So I'll tolerate Alicia Fox as a legend. I always liked her. I thought she was great. Candice Michelle, however, I never really had hardly any respect for really as a wrestler at all. So I don't consider her a legend, but they're both a stretch, but Alicia is more of one than Candice for sure. So Candice's absence didn't bother me at all, but there were a couple of people that weren't there. So not sure the story on those other than the one travel issue. Devlin, husband, what's going on? Oh, you and that other guy's, Zane's WCW cards went out today, by the way. Goldberg's about to piss us off again. I think he is, man. I think he is. Can we not think about it yet? At least, okay, so it's the 31st, right? Okay, so we got 27 days to prepare our minds for a potential Goldberg. Because when a championship match happens at the Royal Rumble, a lot of times there's a switch there, and going into WrestleMania or something, especially if it's involving a legend like The Rock or something like that. They win the title up front just for a couple months and they drop it at WrestleMania. So I'm hoping that Goldberg doesn't beat Drew and then Drew beats him again for it and regains it or something like that. Otherwise, you can do Goldberg and Roman and unify the shits. No, and then where does that leave Drew? So I see very little future with a Goldberg victory here. I don't know what kind of match that would lead to unless they're, they did Goldberg and Strowman last year. So what's the point of really trying to find a match for him unless, Drew beats him and then he gets a match with Roman Reigns after that? Maybe, I don't know, but then it's going to be a couple of big losses in a row for Goldberg. He went down pretty handily to Strowman, during that, that kind of audible they called there, putting the belt on Strowman instead, because they had to take it off Goldberg. And it was funny because, they had to take it off of him because he had exhausted his contractual matches. And, well, looky here. We are in a brand new year, 2021. So he's got 2 or 3 more probably on his deal, which means I don't know if we just see him one match at the Rumble. So the fact that he's going to wrestle again always leaves the door open for him to potentially win back the title. Oh my God, that can't happen. And actually, let me think about it. Help me out here. So Goldberg has never won the WWE title, right? World Heavyweight Champion back in the 2000s when he came in, and then his 2 title runs here were universal, right? Beat Kevin Owens, beat The Fiend. Something to think about. He actually has never been WWE Champion. And I'd rather him never be. So, oh God, that adds a whole nother fucking layer of stress to my mind. Crying out loud. 5 more from you, Devlin. Goldberg is winning. I fully expect it, man. I can't wait for your podcast after the Rumble, man. This one will piss me off just as bad as the Fiend one does, because I like Drew. I can see fans are already resisting him a little bit, but I'm like, I see through them because they do the same shit every time. So I appreciate McIntyre, and I think he's done a great job. I think he's a good wrestler. He just looks like he looks like a star. He looks like a champion. He's good. He's a good dude. He's very, very, very committed to the role, as we heard on the Broken Skull sessions. Committed to doing the work and the extra work and as much as he can and that type of stuff. And to me, there's no negative downside to that at all. So I like Drew. But yeah, he could be in some trouble here. Victor Cologne, appreciate the $2. What the fuck? Goldberg has a WWE title shot. Please don't F Drew. I can't say anything other than I agree 100%, Victor. Michael Cuomo, appreciate the 5. Had to go to my job. Worker never showed up. The pleasures of managing a 24-hour store. Raw seemed missable. I guess Goldberg Riddle I only care about. Yeah, it was pretty missable. You missed absolutely nothing until the main event. That was really it. Some of the results here were kind of interesting, but nothing that great at all. So it wasn't until the main event and Drew and Keith, put on a show. They're still going to come in 3rd or 4th place as to what is the best match of the last 72 hours, because we had a couple of doozies last night at Wrestle Kingdom, and I expect at least one tonight. So they might be in 3rd or 4th place, but it was still a very, very, very good main event and a good WWE title match, which I like to see on TV. AJ Daniels, what's up, man? Appreciate the 5. I sometimes feel bad for giving Goldberg crap. He seems nice. He seems like a nice family guy. I think Goldberg, I don't think he's perfect in his personality. He also seems like a guy that maybe takes himself a little bit too seriously at times, or at least has in the past. Probably a little bit better now. But hell, still, he's guy in his 50s, and he's still got these like little issues. And he comes off kind of douchey sometimes by that interaction he had with Matt Riddle. I would love to see a match between Goldberg and Riddle, but in terms of being a family man and, and a role model kind of role that he's found himself in as being, one of the icons in wrestling, he does carry it well. And I think I give the guy credit most for just being in ridiculous shape. My God, to be that old and to look like that is crazy. Spaz Phoenix, what's up, man? Appreciate the 10 as well. Go sub to Spaz's YouTube channel. Here comes your restaurant quality cheap plug. Me and Jake DeMarco previewing everything about New Year's Evil tomorrow night at 9, Toronto, Canada time. Is Toronto's East Coast, right? Eastern time zone? I don't think they're Central. Cheers to Greg in the chat. Also, Goldberg, that's true. Yeah, we got New Year's Evil coming up on Wednesday, so that's going to be a good show. So I'm looking forward to that. All right, let's knock out 2 more super dupers, and then we'll start rolling through the Raw results. By the way, the 170 or so of you that are here, can do me a favor and smash the thumbs up button for me. Really want to try to get the likes up this year. They were way down in 2020 in my analytics, so let's try to get them way up in 2021. I would really appreciate it. Hook me up, and it's free. It only takes 1 finger. Deshaun Robinson, appreciate the 5 as well. If WWE wasn't complete and utter morons, they could have built up Alistair Black or Ricochet and have them challenge for the belt at Rumble. Sigh. Exactly. Like Alistair Black, we talked about him on the podcast on Saturday, and maybe his future in AEW. That'd be really nice, especially in light of some of these contract renewal rejections we've been hearing from the roster. But Alistair and Ricochet, I've talked about this match a couple of times. It was a year or two ago. It was Ricochet and Drew McIntyre in like the King of the Ring tournament, like in a semifinal match or whatever on Raw. And it was great. And Ricochet went over completely clean in the match. Could you imagine Ricochet beating Drew McIntyre now clean based on where they are on the roster? No. And Ricochet is the exact same competitor he was then. And I think his biggest problem was that his outfits and his hat. He drops that, he might get a push. I don't know what he was doing tonight in that backstage segment. I'm like, Ricochet, stop it. But they're both great, and there's so many examples of guys like Ricochet and like Alistair Black that there's no reason why they can't be in championship contention. Maybe not world championship contention. Ricochet getting a title shot wouldn't bother me, but maybe that's a stretch for some. Fine. Intercontinental, U.S., anything. Make this guy somewhat important on the roster instead of completely and totally useless. And just talents just sitting there not being used. It's just annoying. Wrestle Kingdom, Domination Warrior, I should say your name first, and thank you for the $5. Wrestle Kingdom Night 1 was great. Ibushi Naito was gold. IRS looked like a 50-year-old Brian Zane, Jesus, who was WWF Best Writer and who's the best world champion now. That's a lot. IRS did look a little weathered tonight. It was kind of interesting that he was approached by Randy Orton, and they did kind of lock eyes, and he walked away, and Orton focused his attention on Flair. But I think... I mentioned that Fiend could come back and attack his dad. That would have been cool. If Fiend could have came back and saved his dad, had Randy Orton decided to put a hurting down on him. But Zayn is way more handsome than fucking IRS. Come on now. Who was the best WWF writer? God, I don't know. I don't know. I think people like Gewurz and stuff. I don't know. I don't know who the best writer is. It's debatable, I suppose. I'd probably go back to somebody like back in the day when it was just like Bruce and Jim Cornette and guys like that. But actual writers, I don't know, man. Who's the best world champion now? Roman easily. I like Kota Ibushi and everything. He's not out of the woods yet. He's got a match tonight, but I expected him to come out of both nights with the gold. But still, man, Roman's just doing great work right now. But Ibushi's a freak, a goddamn freak. We'll talk about him later. All right, am I finally caught up on the super chats? That's awesome. All right, let's get into actual Monday Night Raw results. I do have a video announcement for you. I got a classic Royal Rumble review dropping on Sunday. I'll be up here this Saturday as well for the Winged Eagle, so it'll be a double shot on the weekend. Winged Eagle Podcast Saturday, classic Royal Rumble review dropping on Sunday, probably early in the morning. And it's an interesting one, but I have 4 big videos coming up in January. Antoine Daniels, who is here, AJ Daniels, who is here in the chat right now. The week after that one comes a Raw review, a SmackDown review from September 18th, 2003, the Kurt Angle and Brock Lesnar Iron Man match. That'll be within the next 2 weeks. Also have a watch along coming around for a Royal Rumble match, a very highly requested one that I review, and I thought it might even be more fun to do a watch along. So that'll be coming up in January. And Barry has got a review coming up on the WWE draft, I think from March 2004. All of that is coming prior to the end of the month. So that's a lot. Zane G, what's going on, man? Appreciate the very generous $20. By the way, your WCW cards are in the mail. They should be to you soon because you're right up above me in LBC. If Goldberg and McIntyre happens at the Rumble, if the title changes hands, do you see a rematch at WrestleMania, then having a SmackDown wrestler winning the Rumble and challenging for the Universal Championship? Let me reread that. If the title changes hands, do you see a rematch at WrestleMania? I did mention that earlier, just a little while ago. They could do that, where Drew drops it and then wins it back, much like he did to Randy Orton, but they already did that once, so I don't know why they do it. Then having a SmackDown wrestler winning the Rumble and challenging Roman. Okay, I see what you're saying. Maybe I think there's got to be something up here with McIntyre and Goldberg. Is like I said earlier, Goldberg's going to be wrestling again. I don't think he's going to be having one more retirement match and that's it. McIntyre or Roman needs to put him down and put him down for good. His last match needs to be against one of those guys. Otherwise, what the fuck is he doing here? So I think that this leads to the fact that this won't be Goldberg's last match makes me wonder how they're just going to put him down clean and lose here if they have plans for him to do something else. So, and especially probably since he's signed on for no more than 3 matches in all of 2021. I don't know what they're going to do. This needs to be his retirement. The motherfucker's already in the Hall of Fame. Let's just retire already. Unless this is some sort of a long-term plan, WWE thinks that they'll definitely have fans in the audience either for WrestleMania or for SummerSlam. And they know that's going to be a very, very likely option. Maybe they're putting the wheels in motion for his retirement. Because much like The Undertaker's bullshit in the 30th, he was under the unfortunate circumstance to have that take place during COVID. You know, if they feel like they could get some fans in the building and you have a little bit more natural of an atmosphere for a send-off and your final ever match, you know, maybe that's what they're waiting for and planning for. So Rumble might set it up, Mania might finish it, or it might even stretch out into later in 2021. I don't know. Whatever happens, like I said, I'm nervous as hell. 5 more from Divine Ricks. I think Goldberg's promo about the legend should have been with Orton instead of Drew. By the way, I'm very impressed with Orton lately. We all are, man. Orton is doing wonderfully. I love him. He's my favorite thing on Raw. One of them. And we didn't see The Fiend tonight, and I'm wondering, I guess we're all guessing that it's going to lead to another Firefly Funhouse match, which seems very likely. But anyway, that's all for the chit-chat. I promise I will now start on the results, and that way we can just start chit-chatting some more, and I can keep up and not fall behind on the super chats and stuff. But anyway, Raw tonight opened up with Miz TV. Very, very pointless segment, except for one very fun part of it. Their guests were the New Day. Throw some shade at each other, smack talking back and forth. Miz, they are really planting the seed there that he is starting to have just about enough of John Morrison shit, and he's kind of giving him a couple of dirty looks during the thing. You can smell this turn coming from 9 miles away. They start getting in each other's face a little bit. Teddy Long's music hits, which I think is kind of nice, because how many times are we actually watching TV, or I see tweets during a random Raw or SmackDown or pay-per-view, and you're like, where's Teddy Long when you need him? And it would be kind of cool if every time we thought that in our heads, he might actually show up. So he comes out to the ring, or comes out to the stage, and you know he's going to make the tag team match. But first he says they got to face The Undertaker. So he does his classic, you have to face The Undertaker thing, which is great. And then he makes the tag team match after that. So even though it was a pointless, I mean, without Teddy Long, this is completely useless. This means nothing. It wasn't even that entertaining. Not even a lot of the work on the mic. Kofi said a couple of funny insults towards The Miz, but otherwise it was pointless. And then the match itself, it's pointless. What's the point of having this match? Is this for a #1 contendership, or, you know, is this going to move you up the ladder in any way? What's at stake? What's the point? Why are you even fighting? Type of thing. And in the end, a New Day did beat Miz and Morrison after the commercial break. Xavier hit the Shining Wizard on Morrison. So once again, Morrison takes the pin, probably adding a little bit to the Miz's frustration. And it's only going to be a matter of time before they have their implosion. And I think that's also a good way they could be, foreshadowing a little bit as to how Miz unsuccessfully cashes that briefcase in, because that motherfucker's got it again. So it is possible that Miz might stick his nose into that Goldberg and McIntyre match at Royal Rumble. That might be a good way to get out of it. And that will also open up the door and allow Goldberg to wrestle again, potentially against Roman, because he said some shit to Roman too. You feel like they've planted that seed. It was supposed to be the match last year. I have a hard time believing they're not going to give us that this year. I think we're going to get Goldberg and Roman. So you could have Miz show up in that thing, maybe like he did last time, making it a triple threat, or maybe just come out there, to try to take advantage of something, and it's enough to maybe distract Goldberg. Goldberg hits the Miz with a spear. The briefcase goes flying. He kicks Morrison's ass and throws him over the top rope, and while all this is going on, he turns around and eats Claymore from McIntyre and gets pinned. And McIntyre retains the title, and then Goldberg, kind of saves face a little bit, since there was a lot of outside shit going on that led, Drew didn't cheat. It was just a lot of outside shit that led to him being beat, and that might allow him to jump then over to SmackDown and challenge Roman heading into WrestleMania. And I'd really have no problem with that either, especially if he lost. And he could use that as ammunition and say, even though, the Miz and Morrison were out there, I still lost, and I still have to carry that loss. And it might be finally time that I have to question, my own mortality. And, I might have to question whether or not I can still be here. So there's only one way that I know I still belong, and that is if I challenge, the big dog, the biggest dog in the yard right now, Roman Reigns, and then maybe do a retirement stipulation on the line or something like that. I'll put my career on if I don't beat you for the championship, that's all I need to know. I have no reason to wrestle again. Something like that, could be done. And, maybe Roman puts him down. But, a lot of times in these retirement matches, they're sometimes in babyface scenarios too, where, the retiree can be shown respect and that sort of thing by the person he beat. I want to see Roman be ruthless. I want to see Roman beat Goldberg decisively, put him down, And then when his wife and son come in the ring to check on him, Roman spears both of them. Like I want it to be like that, but they're not going to do that. But that would be what I like to see. So there could be a way, to tie that in somehow and somehow get out of this McIntyre Goldberg match where everybody is happy. And the Miz could be used as a key to do that. So we'll see. I guess in a way, it might be good that Miz has his hands on that briefcase right now. Would be pretty goddamn hysterical if the Miz came out of the Royal Rumble with the title. Goldberg and Drew, and the Miz kiboshes this and gets the belt somehow, and I don't know, and then maybe Goldberg beats the Miz for the title, and then he's champion for a month leading into the rematch with McIntyre at WrestleMania, where McIntyre wins it back, and maybe they really want to give Drew what he was supposed to have last year. He talked about it with Austin. He's like, I was really frustrated. I wasn't going to get my moment. There weren't going to be any fans there. COVID hit, fucked everything up. It was the WrestleMania main event, and I won the title in front of 6 people. Maybe they realize that he lost that moment, and he's done such a good job of, carrying the flag here in the face of the pandemic, and they want to give that to him. They could have the Miz come in and fuck it up or something, win the title with the briefcase the very next month at Fastlane or whatever the pay-per-view is. Goldberg then beats the Miz, much like he beat Kevin Owens a couple years ago. Then Goldberg is champion, just like last year, going into WrestleMania to face McIntyre. McIntyre gets the moment. He wins the title again, this time in front of fans. Maybe. But either way, I'm so worried that Goldberg is going to find gold around his waist this year, and I'm not sure if my nerves can handle it. Come on, 2021's got to be better, not worse. Come on, WWE. Anyway, like I said, New Day won the match. Miz and Morrison lost. Morrison seems to continue to wear thin on the Miz. That might even play in a role somewhere down the line with a Money in the Bank briefcase cash-in, and maybe Morrison can even be the one to cost the Miz the opportunity. Who knows? After that, we go backstage. We got a Randy Orton interview saying that he's going to go, I think it's with Chuck, and he's going to go find some legends. And a lot of these legends, he put on the shelf during the feud with Drew, didn't he? What's that big hospital picture he had with all of them, like Flair and Big Show? So a lot of these guys are there. There's no Shawn on the show, which was weird. No Shawn, no Triple H. They're like in the same building. They didn't appear on the show. So he says he's going to go hunt some of those guys down or look for them and have a talk with some old friends. So made you think that Randy Orton was going to go beating up some legends. We got our only look, or maybe only 1 or 2 looks at the true legend of legends, Alicia Fox. She was a big topic of debate when WWE announced her as a legend, and fans are getting mad about it. I think it's fine. I put on Twitter, I can't believe WWE had the nerve to put her in the same ring with Hogan and Flair. Hogan and Flair don't deserve to breathe the same air as Alicia Fox. She's fantastic. And she's back there. Angel Garza approaches her with a rose or whatever, and she does something and walks away. So very poor use of Alicia Fox here. And then he goes off and finds 3 more legends who happen to be Tatanka, Sergeant Slaughter, and Mickie James. And Mickie James looked so amazing that I didn't even notice Tatanka and Sergeant Slaughter were there. He gives Mickie the rose, and that was fun. But again, you look at poor Tatanka, how long it took him to get in that get-up. He was on TV for 4 seconds. Jesus, man. Back to the ring, one-on-one match, AJ Styles versus Elias. This kind of whole thing kicked off a week or so ago. This is like the Battle of the Bodyguards. I think it's hysterical and maybe even a little bit of a troll that WWE puts Riker with Elias. This is a brand new bodyguard gimmick, and the very first program they're in is up against a bigger, better, and more badass bodyguard in Omos, which was hilarious. So you got a better wrestler along with a better bodyguard taking on a wrestler and a bodyguard gimmick that is brand new. I think that's kind of funny. Well, it's such a strange pairing choice to put them with first instead of beating some guys and letting Riker assert his dominance and things like that. So AJ Styles one-on-one match, straight beat him. Right after the match, Riker's got a guitar and almost just. I think he kicked the guitar right the fuck out of his hand. They back down. They don't want none of him. And AJ won with a Styles Clash, as they should. So that was the first 2 matches of the night. Actually had clean victories, had clean pins, which was kind of refreshing. That would end in the third match, though. We had Asuka and Charlotte taking on the team of Lacey Evans and Payton Royce up next. Ric Flair is hanging around Charlotte again. We saw him at the pay-per-view when he was watching on the monitor and stuff. And so now he's just randomly out there at ringside, which I immediately thought was weird But I was like, it's Legends Night. He's just out there for Legends Night. I didn't know they were going to do something with it. So which is what we actually all want, right? So during the match, it just seems like this is going to be a cakewalk for our Charlotte and Asuka. A couple of near falls, a couple of times. It looks like the match is over, but Payton and Lacey survive. The finish sees Charlotte hitting the ropes, and Flair just trips her by accident. Like, Lacey Evans was trying to get his attention a couple times during the match, approaching him, coming up to him, trying to woo the nature boy, no pun intended. So he was a bit distracted with her, but he wound up tripping Charlotte by accident. I think when he thought he was tripping her or tripping Payton or something, she goes down and gets pinned. I think it was, I can't remember who the fuck pinned her, if it was Payton or Lacey. But Charlotte gets pinned. She's mad, and you see Flair there kind of like bummed out or disappointed, and then she gets in the ring, gets out of the ring, gets right in his face and says, "Stay the hell out of my business." Now, and I put on Twitter, I'm like, haven't they done this? Like, didn't Charlotte already kick Ric Flair out of her life? And a couple of you responded with the year of 2016. That doesn't seem right. It seems like when Charlotte got pissed at Flair and told him to go fuck off or buzz off or whatever, that was way more recent than 2016, unless my brain is completely melted. But it feels like they've already done this, and I can't remember what led to that either, but I think it was like Flair fucking up or something. Charlotte basically just turned on him and turned heel on him and insulted him. Didn't she? Am I imagining this? Was this a dream, or did this really happen? So now that they're back together, I don't even know how that came about. I mean, last I heard, I thought she was sick of his shit anyway. So anyway, I don't know what the hell's going on there. She's mad at him again. She tells him once again to stay out of her business, and we'll see if that leads anywhere or what the fuck. But now, like, Charlotte's supposed to be at least back as a babyface now. This might be her slow transition back into heel. And we still got to see where her future lies with the tag team titles and with the Raw Women's title, because there's absolutely no way Charlotte will not be in a Raw Women's title match at WrestleMania. So between now and Royal Rumble, she either gets a shot at the Rumble first, and then she's champion going into WrestleMania, or she wins the Rumble again. I think that's unlikely, but I think she'll be involved somehow. She'll either be champion going into WrestleMania or champion going out of WrestleMania. One way or the other, she will wear a belt at WrestleMania. It might just be for an hour. We'll see. But anyway, Charlotte and Flair are no more. They are no longer daddy-daughter. He probably got her a whole bunch of nice shit, too, for Christmas, and she's going to treat him like that? Do you yell at somebody you loved right after they bought you a whole bunch of nice stuff? What an asshole thing to do. Okay, so maybe it was 2016? Wasn't she only there a year at that point? She was already getting up Ric Flair's ass? I swear this was more recent. Last year, they didn't do anything with them like that. Or maybe the year before. Oh man, I can't even remember. It just seems like it was way more recent than that. Damn, it was 2016, huh? In 2016, in my head, I still kind of considered Charlotte new. When did she come in? 14 or 15? Thought it was 15. I don't know. Crazy. I can't believe it was that long ago. Well, I'm nuts. Oh well. After that, we get a backstage segment involving some more legends. We got Drew McIntyre hanging out with Sheamus, and they're approached by Hulk Hogan and Jimmy Hart. And Jimmy's, doing his thing. He's bouncing all around, and Sheamus winds up leaving along with Jimmy Hart, who's chasing him away with the megaphone, leaving Hogan and Drew there together. And Drew does the whole "what you gonna do" shtick or whatever. So, people have their opinions on Hogan, but it was kind of cool to see Hogan standing with the current WWE champion, Hogan and Drew. That's the very same belt, or at least the lineage is the very same belt that Hogan wore. So I can appreciate that. But Hogan being there overall is still is a touchy subject for a lot of people. And he did an interview today where he was saying, or there was a report coming out today about an interview that he did where he was talking about the reaction he gets from the WWE locker room. And he said it was a mixed bag. Some people are very gracious and respectful, and others are very cold and kind of give him the cold shoulder. Like he and I quote, like he's coming in there to take away their main event. End quote. And I'm like, no, I don't think any talent is there. Even the ones on the very bottom of the card are worried about their spot being taken by you. I think a leg drop would potentially end his life, if he were to try to execute that in his physical state. So I don't think anybody's worried about him taking their spots at all. I think they're just a little bit annoyed with him that he's kind of a piece of shit. So that's probably what it is, Hogan. Hate to tell you. So I completely understand people that are just not really wanting or ready or needing to see him on TV. I agree. It sucks that someone like him had to be WWE's Babe Ruth, but they're trying to salvage that, and I can appreciate that, because they've already had to go a portion of their history with ignoring Hogan a couple of different times in the past, once when he left the company and then when he really got himself into trouble with those racist comments and stuff, and the fact that he's back is a bit surprising, but WWE's they're the kings of glossing over fucked up shit that people do. They're the kings of it. Literally, there's been people that have been employed by that company that have done some horrific things. Jimmy Snuka comes to mind, and shit like that. So it's not really that surprising that he's there. I think I take comfort in knowing that people like the New Day, Titus O'Neil, Mark Henry, they weren't so eager to like roll over and forgive him. And the fact that they were honest about their feelings and stuff, to me, it's like, that makes me feel better, that you see people saying, no, we can't do anything about him being here, but no, we don't forgive him. And I can appreciate that. So anyway, Hogan was there tonight, regardless of how stupid Hogan is as a person or not. It's always cool to see a champion from 40 years ago meeting the champion of today with the very same belts. Not something you see very often. And at least I can appreciate that a little bit, because you can't even get that situation with Ric Flair much these days either, with the NWA title being no more. Riddle took on Bobby Lashley next. I skipped over a Matt Riddle and Big Show segment backstage. Big Show was sitting down. Riddle shows up, and you immediately think, I'm like, oh, he's going to do something with Big Bro or Show Bro might be cool, or the Bro Show. That would be a good tag team. That would be way better than Jericho. I think the Bro Show or the Show Bro, something like that would be cool. But Riddle suggests Big Bro, I think. And he says he's got to go because he's got a match with Bobby Lashley later, so he takes off. Randy Orton then shows up and gets in Big Show's face, even puts his hand around his throat. And Big Show's like, I'm not falling for this shit, man. You're not in my head. I know you're trying to get me to do something stupid and to goad me into reacting, and I'm not going to do it. So Randy Orton kind of doesn't have any luck with the Big Show and moves on. So that came prior to Matt Riddle taking on Bobby Lashley here. So I don't think this was for the title. Or no, it wasn't for the title, obviously, because Riddle won. And I was surprised that they did it already. I kind of hope, like I've said a lot lately, you guys know how on board I am with Lashley, and I would really like to see him built up big enough to potentially face Brock next year, like at SummerSlam or something. So until then, I think he absolutely needs to win all the fucking time, or at least stay extremely protected. I'm kind of okay with what they did here. This didn't bother me too much. I just want, as much as I like Riddle, and I really, really want him to become a big star and a championship holder in the company at some point, I don't want him to come out of the Lashley feud with the title. I want Lashley to continue rolling with the U.S. belt for a little while. I want SummerSlam, but I know that's not realistic. WWE will probably end it much earlier than that, but at least go past January or the Royal Rumble or whatever. So we got Riddle and Lashley here. Match is okay. Lashley locks Riddle into the full Nelson, and Riddle taps out. But the referee is not in position, does not see the tap out. Riddle taps out. Lashley throws him to the ground. Referee never calls for the bell. Riddle gets up, rolls up Lashley in a schoolboy, gets a quick pin, and wins the match. So that was an interesting way of doing it, instead of doing it the same old, Hurt Business member comes down and distracts, or, there's some sort of just dumb distraction roll-up, right? This was something else where Lashley beat him clean, beat Riddle clean right in the middle of the ring with a submission, but the referee, fucked up and allowed Riddle to score a fast one. So if Lashley is going to get beat or, God forbid, pinned, at least they did it in a way that did not freak me out. And this is fine. And hopefully it'll lead to a rematch with Lashley beating him for real this time. So again, I don't know if you can stretch that to the Rumble. That's 4 weeks off or 5 weeks off or whatever it is for. So this might have to be a TV thing, but either way, I just think it's in WWE's best interest to keep Lashley strong and keep him the U.S. champion and have him win almost every single match that he's in. There's no downside to that at all, to make this guy into a credible threat. And who knows, maybe by next summer, he's going to have his WWE character is going to back up who he is legitimately, and you can start getting the fans thinking about Lashley and Brock. And fans have always mentioned Lashley and Brock, but if they would have tried to do Lashley and Brock a year ago, or when he was going through obstacle courses with Sami Zayn, it would have been the absolute last match I wanted to see. You've reversed gears with Lashley now, and now he's starting to be something. So for them to end it now and to tear that down would just be such a huge disappointment to me. WWE, if you're listening, I will write the show. I'll write the show for a McRib and a free WWE Network subscription. I'll write the show. I'd be glad to. Just provided I can work at home, of course. I ain't fucking moving to Connecticut, you assholes. If I can do it right here from my Southern California home, I will do it. I will email it to you once a week. Just put that shit on TV, and I guarantee you your ratings will be better. They'll be better. Might not be great, but they'll be better. Who do we have after that? Oh, yeah, backstage. We're backstage again. Mark Henry's on a scooter. I didn't know he was hurt, so hopefully he's all right. So he's got a bum wheel of some kind. So he's standing there with Ricochet with just the most fabulous outfit I've ever seen. My God, I don't know what he thinks he is doing. If he's wondering why he's not getting pushed, I think I found the answer. Randy Orton turns up as well, talks smack to them a little bit. Ricochet leaves. He gets in Mark Henry's face and says he owes him a lot of receipts and shit like that. He's just going around trying to intimidate all these legends, but he's the legend killer, not the legend intimidator, and he did mostly just intimidating tonight. Help me out with this last one. I was distracted. I was talking when this match was on. The next one up was Dana Brooke versus Shayna Baszler. Dana Brooke wins. Is that right? I know Shayna's got on the Kirifuda clutch. Dana rolls back and is able to get her in a pinning combination, and I think she pinned her in one, and then Shayna kept the hold on, and that's when Mandy Rose jumped in the ring, and Mandy and Dana beat the hell out of Shayna and got her out of there. Is that how it happened? That's how I have it written down, but I was so distracted. I was trying to watch, and I'm not sure if I ever saw the 3 count or what the fuck, but I think that's what went down there with Dana and Shayna. If I have that wrong, let me know, but as far as I know, Dana Brooke pinned her. And then Mandy and Dana both got a little bit of revenge on Shayna because she was the one that had kicked them out of the, I think the Survivor Series match, right? So a little bit of payback there. Let me see over here. Did I get all those super chats or there's just one? Oh, Zane G, what's up, man? Appreciate the 5. Rumor on a Big Show title run? I wasn't aware of that. I mean, again, with these legends, if Big Show, at some point, Big Show needs to not be in the ring anymore. He wrestled in 2020. He wrestled WrestleMania against Drew, didn't he? After Drew beat Brock and stuff. So he's still been appearing every year. And with somebody of his size and his age, he doesn't need to be in the ring anymore either. And he should probably have some sort of a send-off. I'm okay with a Big Show send-off. And if that means putting the belt on him for a month, I'm okay with it. Big Show was there for a lot of years. He's had a very interesting career, from his WCW days into his WWE days. A lot of ups, a lot of downs. A lot of championships and a lot of stories. And, he's not been perfect, but he's been good. And for a big guy, he was at one time, I think, the most athletic big guy we had in all of wrestling, especially in like 95. He's doing top rope drop kicks and shit. He was a different person. He was a different size wrestler to do that type of stuff. Nobody really ever been his size, height, and weight, since Andre. He had plenty of fat guys. He had the Yokos and guys like that could maybe outweigh Andre, but to have the height and the size, nobody really had that until he came around. So if it's a title run that's part of a send-off, I'm nostalgic. I'm cool with it. Why get mad at that? Don't we have bigger problems? Can't believe they put the title on the Big Show. Yeah, that's the problem with WWE. Putting the title on a legend on his way out the door. Yeah, that's the big issue right now. Now, something like that wouldn't have any effect one way or the other on the business or ratings or anything like that. It'll be maybe even a feel-good thing. And provided, like I said, it's small, and he's not a champion for 6 months or nothing, I'm cool with it. And last time he got in the ring for a big guy of his age can still do things. He's still a menacing force in there, even at his, in his physical condition and his age right now. He's not really that bad for someone who's been around as long as him. So give the Big Show a break. That's all I'm saying. Next up is where we got that backstage segment with Randy Orton and Ric Flair, along with Molly, Holly, and IRS. So I think it's Molly, IRS, and Flair standing there. And that's when they're approached by Randy Orton. And IRS sees him coming. He sees him, is like, oh, and I kind of like that. I mean, it might just be subtle. He seemed to be a little bit scared than the other two did when he saw Randy Orton. Like, oh, this is the guy that's got a really fucking intense feud with my son right now. And he kind of powdered out and just left with Molly Holly. And Molly just looks like a little angel standing there. She's so great. And they leave, and leaving Flair there with Orton all by himself. Now, Flair already got chewed out by his own daughter just a couple of segments ago. And now Orton kind of runs down his history with Flair and talks a lot about him. And, they've had some serious run-ins as well throughout the years, even up to most recently, and basically was just there to intimidate is all he was really there to do. And Randy Orton would be in the ring next against Jeff Hardy. I was actually okay with this one-on-one match on Raw. It's solid. just a good one-on-one match with two, long-time WWE players. And, they just did a Hell in a Cell match not long ago. They revisited that from the Hell in a Cell match, by the way, the ear spot during this. Hell in a Cell, Randy used a screwdriver. Here he just used his hand and his finger just to twist around the ear of Jeff Hardy, which I don't know people who have those things. I don't know what that feels like, but it looks like it hurts like fuck. And it looks like it's coming ever so close from tearing off. And if it does, what do you do? It just hangs down? I don't understand why people do that to your ears or their ears, but it's hysterical and it makes for a really good, cringy visual. I get sweat. My palms were sweating when he was doing that to his ear. Can't imagine what that feels like. But anyway, that was fun. In the end, good match. Randy Orton hit the RKO, beat Jeff Hardy clean. A lot of clean finishes in this night. Some not so clean, but even the ones that weren't clean weren't terribly dirty. The referee missed the submission. Ric Flair was an idiot, tripped his own daughter. Other than that, a lot of these matches had outcomes, which was fucking nice for a change. So I will give Raw a point for that. So I think they're up to 3 points now. 3 out of 10 is what I got them at so far. After that, we've got the Hurt Business taking on the Lucha House Party. Not a big fan of this either. Lucha House Party gets the win here because of some dissension between Cedric and Shelton. Now, we know Cedric is marching to the beat of his own drummer. We've been seeing that for weeks, even prior to them winning the tag team titles. But I think the Hurt Business are one of the strongest factions in the company. They don't have really a weak link right now. It made great use of Cedric, who was directionless. Same thing with Shelton Benjamin, who has a reputation of being a badass. I think the faction is at least too strong right now to start this dissension bullshit. They just won the titles like 2 weeks ago. All factions have to implode. All factions have to have one loose cannon that fucks everything up. All factions have to have a power struggle. All of that has to happen in factions. I get it, but I think they are just burning it way too quickly here for the Hurt Business. Unless they have some sort of plans for WrestleMania for them to be some sort of Hurt Business Fatal 4-Way or something, I don't know why they need to rush this. I have no problem at all with these guys maintaining this alliance for a while. The New Day did it for 7 years. Why can't these guys do it for 7 months? I don't understand. So you got all this dissension now. This sucks because, unless MVP who was on commentary, by the way, can really bring them all back together and get them back on the same page again. But then why did you do all the dissension shit to begin with? So this is clearly going to lead to something, and I'm just not ready for a Hurt Business implosion. I'm fine with one of them getting kicked out and replaced by another one or something if they want to do that. But I think it's too early for this. You got 3 hours of TV a week to fill. Stretch this shit out. Let us enjoy the Hurt Business whooping some ass for a while. And I just wish they were a little bit more stable. This is not a good night for them. They lost this non-title match here, and Lashley lost his non-title match as well. They're having all sorts of problems right now, despite all the gold and how strong the faction has been. Why are they being booked to lose like this? I think it's dumb. They're a strong faction, and they should be presented as that. And then there will come a time when the wheels can come off and the faction can implode, and you have all these matches and nobody gets along. Do it. But do you have to do it like right after you start it? I hate this company. Anyway. We go backstage again. We got Angel Garza back there again with his fucking Rose. This time he's got Tori Wilson and Nikki Cross with him, so he's got a couple of good options here. I couldn't watch much of this. I was distracted again. All I know is R-Truth shows up and wins the 24/7 title. So help me out with something else. When did he lose the 24/7 title? Garza was champion. Did that happen last week and I forgot already? I didn't even know Garza was a 24/7 champion. Wait, they showed a replay of something from New Year's Eve. Maybe he lost it on New Year's Eve or something. I don't know what the fuck happened. Anyway, Garza was a champion, but R-Truth comes back during that whole segment and wins it back. And Garza is laying there as everybody runs away laughing at him. And then Ron Simmons shows up into frame and does the damn, which was great. Always good to see Ron. Still looks like he could kick some ass to this day. And that brings us and leaves us with the main event of the night, WWE title match. Drew McIntyre defending against Keith Lee. I was very nervous about this last week because I was just thinking it was going to be a schmoz, interference, disqualification, something like that. Most of Keith Lee's matches are so far since he's been there in WWE. A lot of his matches have just been, they haven't really put him over or had him beat either way. And he's just been completely and totally floundering, in my mind, on the roster here. And he's even had a couple of bouts with Drew McIntyre already on TV. And this one is actually for the championship now. He earned this opportunity last week beating Sheamus. And this was a wonderfully great match. I can't say enough good things about it. This match isn't going to be bad between these two. It's just, sometimes WWE just throws these matches at us, with not a lot of rhyme or reason. And you're just like, okay, whatever. Keith Lee versus Drew McIntyre, forgetting that these two guys are fucking pros and are probably going to have a really good match, and they did. It was spectacular. Horrifying looking powerbomb before the first commercial break by Drew McIntyre onto Keith Lee. Keith Lee, I think, was on the turnbuckles or whatever on the outside of the ring, and Drew grabbed a hold of him, powerbomb position, and almost struggled to walk over to the table. Keith Lee is not a small person, and powerbomb Keith Lee right on the corner. I mean, it was a sick-looking bump, and he didn't even hit the sweet spot of the table either. He hit the corner of the table. So, I mean, if my neck didn't hurt bad enough from Kota Ibushi last night, my spine hurts me now from Keith Lee, because that looked really, really sick. Match continues after the commercial break, and these two fucking guys hit a Spanish fly. I almost couldn't believe it. I was typing notes. I'm watching it like right here, but I'm typing notes here, and I'm like, what the fuck? And I literally see him fly. I thought I had missed it. I thought I caught the tail end of it. I'm like, that wasn't a Spanish fly. That wasn't a Spanish fly. It was. Jesus Christ. It was awesome. So that was a crazy spot. And they just beat the hell out of each other. Drew McIntyre got the win in the end with a Claymore, pinned him clean as a whistle, and that's what you should do with your champion. I'm perfectly fine with that. Keith Lee looked a little bit distraught after the match. Maybe there's more to come with him. A lot of people think that maybe a heel turn could do him some good. I tend to agree. We'll see if that winds up happening. And as Drew McIntyre is celebrating his victory, all the legends, like I said, were up on the stage, lined up in chairs. Looked ridiculous. And as Drew is celebrating, Goldberg's music hits. He comes down to the ring, and he gets on the mic, and he challenges Drew McIntyre at the Royal Rumble for the WWE title, and that's definitely going to be your match now. So, yeah, and that was the end of Raw. Like we said, the show was largely bad, bad all the way around, except for the main event, which both guys delivered a great championship match. Hey, we're all wrestling fans, right? We want the world championship. We want the world title to be respected. And for two guys to go out there and have a kick-ass match for it, that's all you can really ask for when it comes to the championship, is guys just killing themselves for it. They definitely did that, and that was a great representation of what a championship main event should be in wrestling, or at least what a championship main event on TV should be, is what they gave us here, and zero complaints whatsoever on the match. The Goldberg stuff, if you are just joining us right now, scroll back to the beginning of this live stream, and I talk all about Goldberg, the potential, what it could possibly mean, if he's going to win the title, how nervous it makes me, all the different scenarios for him winning it or not winning it, even tying The Miz and factoring The Miz into these equations, and how that can potentially get Goldberg even moved over to SmackDown to potentially challenge Roman at some point, because I felt like he started beef with both of these guys, on the internet and stuff, so it feels like they're setting up for both matches here. And if Goldberg has got 2 or 3 contracted matches for 2021, that means he's either going to wrestle both of these guys, or he's actually going to win a title at some point, only to drop it to one of them, and hopefully have a send-off match. And hell, maybe one possibility we did not discuss earlier, of all the different possibilities, we discussed Goldberg beating Drew. We discussed The Miz coming in and interfering and cashing in the briefcase at the Royal Rumble, and then Goldberg beating The Miz, only for McIntyre to then regain the title from Goldberg at WrestleMania. And we've discussed every possibility, but maybe they could do, have Drew and Goldberg at Rumble, and then Goldberg and Roman at WrestleMania somehow, and then the whole thing culminates in a triple threat. Drew, Roman, and Goldberg, or something. I don't know. Something like that. Edge could get involved here. Drew, Goldberg, Edge would be a fun triple threat. Battle of the Triple Spears. I'd be into that or something. Plus Edge is going to be coming back too, most likely. Hopefully at the Rumble. So there's lots and lots and lots of possibilities here, but I think what made all of us worried and what made me nervous the most was the fact that when I laughed at the idea of Goldberg taking the belt off The Fiend, that's exactly what he did. He took the belt off The Fiend. So I am extremely nervous, but I'm ready to be done with Goldberg. I was never a big fan of his, but I grew to appreciate him in these later years, how he came back and kind of rectified a lot of things in his runs that went wrong before. And I do have respect for him now, but I really, much like The Undertaker, who I've never not respected, even with him, I was getting real sick and tired of him coming out in that ring and trying to have a wrestling match. And if I feel that way about Taker, I definitely need to feel that way about Goldberg. And I just don't have any desire. He's not a draw for me. I'm tuning in anyway, but I'm certainly not overly excited for any of his matches. If anything, I'm nervous that WWE's use of him is going to come at the expense of somebody that I really like. And that's what's happened more often than not with Goldberg, and that's what I really don't want to happen here. So we'll see. Yeah, I'm hoping Goldberg does put over Drew, but something that seems too simple to me. That's what I want to see. I want to see Drew go in there, Claymore that bald motherfucker, and pin him and retain the title. But the fact that he's not going to be around in 2021, I don't think, for just one match, and I'm hoping this does tie into a send-off here. You think he's going to have to get a win somewhere. So where is that win going to be, especially if he's only going to face huge people like Drew and Roman, which is why I threw that Miz scenario in there. I'm like, he could beat the Miz. You know, he beat Kevin. It's like a couple years ago, he beat Kevin Owens for the Universal title and then, went in and dropped it to Brock Lesnar. So if they had Miz come in and cash in at the Royal Rumble and somehow walk out of that and come out of that match with the championship, leaving both McIntyre and Goldberg dumbfounded, and then maybe Goldberg beats the Miz at the fast lane and becomes champion and then drops the belt back to Drew. And like I said earlier, maybe WWE wants to give Drew that moment he didn't get at WrestleMania 36. He won the title in front of 6 people. And I think a fly and a roach crawling around the floor. That's all. Those are the only people that were there. No Thunderdome, no piped in noise, no nothing. Just 2 guys fighting in a room is all it was. And he's expressed regret that he didn't get that WrestleMania moment that he was looking forward to in Tampa and stuff. If WWE thinks they can have at least some audience at WrestleMania, which at this point I think is pretty likely, this is Florida we're talking about. So if you go back to Tampa and you fill that thing to a limited capacity and you add Thunderdome aspects to it as well, and you somehow create a pretty close replica to a WrestleMania environment, maybe it's their way of giving Drew the moment he missed out on last year. It could be all part of that. I don't know. And it could also tie into Goldberg's retirement as well. But the fact that he started beef with Drew and Roman makes me think he might get a match versus both. And I'd love to see Roman be the one to retire him, even more so than Drew, just based on Roman's gimmick, the head of the table, the big dog. I'm the one that runs this place. I'm the final boss, basically, is kind of his attitude. And, he had a chance to retire The Undertaker. Undertaker came back. This might be a nice little consolation prize for him to be the guy that put down Goldberg for good. I would prefer it be Roman than Drew. So what does that mean for Drew at the Royal Rumble? I'm worried, man. Oh, yeah, I forgot about the Boogeyman. He did have a segment. Who did he mess with? Oh, and I also, answer me this, was the Boogeyman in the chairs during the main event? Please say yes. Oh, Melina. We saw Melina too, and I didn't mention her. Is Melina in my notes? We did see her. What's her deal, man? Wasn't she supposed to come back? How's her relationship these days with Morrison? They are not together, correct? But they were, and she cheated on him with Batista. She looked good, though. So did Tori. They all did. So did Molly. I don't see where Melina is in my notes here. I must not have written it down. I don't remember who she was in a segment with. Yeah, Melina was there, and then the Boogeyman. But I want to know if the Boogeyman was sitting in the PTA meeting during the match. If he was, that's going to make it all worth it. It's going to make it all worth it, man. Shell Shock, I'm with you, man. Tom Bombadil, I'm with you too. Tribal Chief. AJ, yeah, you're not a fan of Drew, but you also don't want to see Goldberg as champion. Yeah. I'm fine with people not being a fan of Drew. I like him. But I certainly think that between him and Goldberg, he's the much better option to be champion because he's a fucking stud. I was born on the same year Bret Hart was. Oh, I thought you said, damn, you're old, man. I thought you meant you were born on the same year Bret Hart was. I'm like, damn, old man. You're older than me by a lot. No, you were born in the same year Bret was WWE champion. Well, what year is that? 1992? Let me see. He was champion 92, 93, 94. He was champion 95. Oh, 90. Yeah. So he was champion 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, and 97. All those years he held the title at least at some point throughout the year. Never thought about that before. 6 straight years. On and off runs, but in each win. Sam Thompson, somebody told me that Carlito had travel issues and wasn't able to make it to the arena, but everybody was talking about Carlito, like on social media. Can't wait to see Carlito. Like people were marking out for it. And then he was the one guy that didn't show up. Oh, Lucha House Party was with Melina. That's right. Oh yeah, because she did the Lucha thing. I remember. Do I not have that written down? I guess I didn't find Melina important enough to write down, but she was because she looked awesome. Oh, 1994. Yep. That was WrestleMania 10. I remember the night before WrestleMania 10, I had to work. I was a dishwasher. in a restaurant, very first job I ever had. And I remember I was back there, and most nights I had help with me. And that particular night, it was a Saturday. I don't know why. I was by myself. And I remember, and I could not stop thinking about the pay-per-view. I was doing my dish. I was walking things in and out of the storage units and back to the kitchen. And the whole time I'm like thinking about the match tomorrow. I'm like, my God, I hope Bret Hart fucking wins the title. I was stressed out the night before at work. Going into that. It was so funny. I'll never forget that shit. And then the next day I was a very happy guy. Oh, thank you for that, Zane. Boogeyman was in the 24/7 segment. I guess I just wasn't paying. Every time those segments come on, I love R-Truth, but my mind's like that din 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 din. My mind just kind of shuts off when they're on. Like, this shit isn't important. I don't care. So I kind of just instinctively stop paying attention, and that's why my notes are always shit for those segments, because I don't know what happens. I kind of consider them a break. I'm like, oh, good, I can go take a piss, or I can go get a snack, or I can just look at something else on the. I got 3 monitors here, so usually when I'm watching Raw, I got 9 other things going on. So I might be editing on the side or whatever. So a lot of times I don't pay attention. I want to talk a little bit about Wrestle Kingdom, though, from last night. That was great. I live in the best spot in the country for watching Japan wrestling, because it comes on at midnight for me, and midnight is very reasonable. Like, I stay up all night anyway. So the show's not going to end any earlier than I would be going to bed. So it works out great. And last night was really fun. A lot of good matches. I want to just highlight a couple of things. Kevin Kelly dedicated the show to Brody Lee, which was very cool. We had a Jon Moxley appearance. It was only on, I think it was after the first match, maybe the second match, and it was only on the screen. But he basically said that he's coming back and he's going to defend the title, which we would find out later would in fact be against Kenta. So I don't know what exact show that's going to be happening on, but at least we do know that he's not going to be stripped or anything like that. He's actually going to go back there, drop and probably drop the belt, and hopefully he will drop it to Kenta. So that was cool to see him there. We had, I really liked, it was, I guess, the second match in. It was Hiromu Takahashi and El Phantasmo, which was really fun. I've only seen El Phantasmo wrestle a couple of times, but he is crazy. He was absolutely crazy. So Hiromu won and to remain the number 1 contender for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title. And that match was a good amount of time, too, 20 minutes maybe, something like that. They gave those guys a lot of time. Also saw the Guerrillas of Destiny pick up the IWGP Tag Team titles. They made a big deal about how they're winless at Wrestle Kingdom or hadn't won in that building in a long time or whatever it was. So they kind of telegraphed that, and you had a feeling that, Tama Tonga and Tangaloa would wind up winning. They did. They beat Tai Chi and Zack Sabre Jr. And another really good match, fun one, another like 20-minute match. I mean, I love some of these matches. They're so long, and they were good, all of them. We would also see Kenta and Kojima face, and that was the final match for Kenta earn the shot against Moxley. So it looks like he's done defending the briefcase or whatever. And whenever the next show is, I don't know. It's going to be Kenta and Moxley most likely, and that is going to be really fun and really good. We had Tanahashi defeating the Great Okan. Not a really big surprise there. And I did a little kind of mini predictions in my head and on social media, and I had him easily picking up the victory there. And he's still one of my favorites. Looks like $1 million. And then it was just like the really 2 big ones here. And I think you guys can tell me, I think it was actually a little bit split between which match people like more. It looked like Kota Ibushi and Naito got the nod, but it wasn't by much. Okada and Ospreay was a great match. 35 fucking minutes this thing went. And, you went into it knowing it's going to be good. And that's one of my favorite things about wrestling is like when you look forward to a match and then the match is really good. That's the best shit ever. And this was completely, to the surprise of no one, a phenomenal match. Awesome shit. I had not seen these guys work really one-on-one before. At least I haven't. So, and I'm sure they have, but I had not seen any matches between these guys before, and it lived up to every bit of that hype. And you can see Ospreay is, he's a main eventer, man. He is absolutely a main eventer. I predicted him to win. I thought he was going to beat Okada. But in the end, Okada won with a Rainmaker, which is good. During the match, though, during a lot of the near falls, really good near falls, I say Okada to this day remains the best at the 2.99 kickouts. He hit a discus Rainmaker in the match, which was really good. Nice little tribute there. But the match was super, super good. 35 minutes. Felt like half that time. Felt like less than half that time, really. Kept my attention the whole time. Awesome stuff. Loved it. And Okada's a fucking stud. And then in the main event, again, for me, kind of predictable. I just felt like Kota Ibushi, this is it, man. He came up short last year. How are they going to do this shit to him again? And luckily, Naito, after dropping the belts, he regained him back. So, he's got him going in here. It just feels like it's Ibushi's day. And it was, in another 30-minute match, 31, I think they went. And oh my God, they killed each other. And immediately, I before the match even started, I was chatting with some people on Twitter about it. And I'm like, all Kota Ibushi has to do here is not die, and he's going to walk out of here with gold, man. He's got to be very careful. I was very nervous for him because he always, treats every match as a personal attack on his own neck, and we were very worried what he was going to do. And I think less than 3 minutes in, I want to say it was 2 minutes, 45 seconds in, something like that, he takes a gnar head bump right on the top of his head, right on the wooden platform or the walkway going into the ring. Just ridiculous why he insists on doing that to himself. And probably my favorite spot of the night. I snapped a screenshot of it and put it on Twitter. They're on the apron. Naito's running at him, and Kota just jumps up. Not even like, for a Hurricane Karana, but not even like straight up, like almost off. Oh, he's really putting his life in the hands of Naito to catch him properly here on his legs and stuff. And he just has just amazing athleticism, jumps 15 feet in the air like Michael Jordan, catches Naito, flips him off. They land on the floor. Just a crazy good spot. And to see him finally win in the end after, he had nailed the knees once on Naito kick out. Naito hit 2 Destinos, both for kickouts. And then in the end, you see Kota Ibushi just catching him, just 2 hard, solid knees that Tetsuya Naito ate every single bit of those knees. Full mouthful of those knees twice. Bam, put him right on his back. That was it. There was no, surprise kick out in that one. He was going to go down, and Kota Ibushi won the titles, celebrates. Naito gives him the show of respect and all of that, and he's celebrating with the 2 titles. And then Jay White comes out. Jay White, of course, has got the match tonight with him, and he basically says that it's going to be a short run. I'm going to be taking those titles tomorrow, and yada yada. But I love Jay White. I like him a lot. I think Japan's perfect for him. I think he'd be lost in the shuffle in WWE or NXT or something. I think he can really shine there, and I like him. And normally I root for him, but I want Ibushi coming out of both these nights with the titles, and then split them up. I don't know what's taking so long there either. Maybe COVID had something to do with that or what, but I think in 2021, you got to separate those titles out at some point. So maybe Jay White can be a part of that. I don't know. But if they're not going to separate them out, I say you just make Kota Ibushi's neck the Intercontinental Champion. That's the right thing to do. Kota can defend the world title, and the neck can defend the IC title. But at some point, you got to split them up. And I just hope they don't begin that process tonight with some shady shit like Jay White wins and then they do another match where they separate him out or something. I want Kota to have both nights, the titles and the whole deal, and he goes on with his life as champion. That's at least what I'm hoping. So let me know if you guys are going to tune in tonight. You're more than welcome to shoot me a message over on Twitter. I'll be watching and tweeting on and off a little bit. Last night I didn't get really into heavily watching until we got to the second half of the card. I was only eyeballing it, coming back and forth. I was preparing for tonight's stream and shit like that during the first half of the card. But the Ospreay and Okada match and Ibushi and Naito had my 100% full attention. It was great shit. Great shit. AJ, appreciate the 5. And good, you might shed some light on this for me. Melina was supposed to return, but she decided to take a break from wrestling because her dad died. I did not know that. Well, thanks for filling me in. Sorry to hear about her dad. Maybe tonight was the beginning of her maybe coming back. Maybe they talked to her. Hey, you want to come back? Or when you're feeling right, give us a call. That's interesting. Yeah, domination. Yeah, we're going to get that Mox Kenta match. I'm ready for it. Thanks for 5 more, Zane. Appreciate that. Did you check out WWE's extensive tribute to Luke Harper? I might have. There's a YouTube video that I've seen with a lot of wrestlers sharing their memories of him. And I might have seen one more, so I'm not sure if I've seen that particular one or not, but I've seen something. Gotta see something. Or I've seen something. Jerry Lawler is underrated? I think most wrestling people respect Jerry Lawler's run and the legendary status he had in Memphis. Got to remember, he was a regional champion, so, his work was amazing. He was amazing babyface, in that territory, and he turned out to be an amazing heel. I think had he broken away and gone to the NWA, maybe he could have been champion over there. But I've never really considered him underrated. I think people usually respect the legendary status of Lawler. I don't really like Lawler. I think he's a fucking idiot. But from a wrestling perspective, He's got quite the career. I know it's hard getting used to Tama Tonga with the clean shave. I liked him more with the more rugged look. He looks like now he just looks like I don't know. He looks too generic, I guess is the word. Like there's a whole bunch of I know a bunch of guys that look like him. You know, when you shave your shit off, you just look a little bit more. I guess maybe tougher even. You know, now he kind of looks like a bouncer in a club. You know, where with the facial hair he looked like the muscle. You know, of a mob guy coming down by your place to pick up his money that you owe him or something. So he definitely has a different look to him now. Yeah, Cesaro's underrated. That's true. I wasn't aware of people saying Vince McMahon was in bad health. I wasn't aware of any stories. He's older. But I thought Vince was going to live. He's 72 now. I think he's lived to 172 or maybe 75. Vince might be 75. Well, there will be a day where we will be talking about Vince McMahon's health. That day will come. We know that. All right, does that do it? Does that do it for my notes? I guess it is. Done. Let me see. I told you guys about the videos that are coming this week. Classic Royal Rumble review coming Sunday, and I got a lot of good suggestions for that, but this one, I was surprised this one came up so much. I'm not going to tell you what it is. Some of you might even be disappointed with which one it is, but it came up several times in my YouTube post, so I'm doing it. The other one I'm doing a watch-along for, and I have plans to do one more, but because I also have 2 Patreon videos I'm doing this month as well, I couldn't commit to the third one. So if I can do one more Royal Rumble video, there will be a third, and I know which review it's going to be. It's going to be, well, no, I'm not going to tell you, but I know which year it's going to be on. But the other 2 Rumble videos, one will be a watch-along, one will be a review, and we've got 2 standalone reviews, one Raw show and one SmackDown review coming up in January. Packed-ass month. And at the very end of the month, on the 31st, we've got the Royal Rumble. Predictions on the 30th. Monday Night Raw review on February 1st. It's going to be a busy 5 weeks, that's for sure. But it's January. What else is there to do? And we're like, some of us are in a lockdown. I kind of am. Ryback said Vince was in bad health. Well, if anyone would know, yeah, well, Ryback can eat it. He's the last person I'd really listen to on Vince's health, but it's got to be other people saying it than him. And he's another thing too. Like I wouldn't be surprised at all. Like if Vince does have medical problems, if Vince does start having problems, they probably are going to want to keep it under wraps. You know, Vince has got this thing about like weakness and shit. And plus they don't know. Plus they don't want to, you know, get everybody speculating or hoping that he dies or anything like that, or make stockholders nervous or whatever. I'm sure they're gonna do their best to put up a united front here, you know, or make everybody think everything is just fine. And you know, Vince does have some issues. It might not be something that's public knowledge. You know, I don't know. But if there's some rumors about that, I'll wait till some of the big boys start reporting on it. I don't care how bad WWE's, you know, ratings are. I don't care how bad their booking is. I don't care how bad out of touch the company is. I mean, to sit here and wish Vince McMahon dead is just horrible. Nobody should do that. Vince McMahon stepping down is something we can all wish for, but I ain't trying to have the man die. I think Vince is doing a lot to harm, you know, the legendary status and the industry changing booker status that he has, or from a promoter standpoint. I mean, he literally changed the business, but you know, in the past few years, fans have grown so sour to the product and stuff, you know, they're really kind of turning on him. And I worry that, you know, when he does pass, fans are gonna be like, oh, thank God the guy's gone, instead of really realizing what it is all he did. You know, if you're 20 years old, what the fuck do you know about Vince McMahon? You don't know dick. You only know what you've seen here, you know, recently. He's got a long life and career and a very interesting path that has led to what we see on TV. Some of it bad, some of it fucked up, some of it mysterious, you know, and there's a couple of mysterious things, you know. I think Vince, I don't want to say it. I don't want to say, I think Vince was touched. as a kid. Let's just say that. I think that there are things that happened to him in his life that are very interesting. And if these things ever come out in a book or something or a movie, you might be like, oh, okay. You know, when you combine that to some of his weird personality traits and some of the weird stories we've heard about him and how he's just truly one of the more unique people there's ever been. Something was up. Something went on in those trailer parks in North Carolina. That's all I'm going to say. And Vince has translated, you know, that early part of his life into what we see now, and coming in and reuniting with his dad and changing his name back to McMahon, and then, you know, getting into the business and being sold the business and going national and everything, and going down to WCW only to beat them, and going global, and I mean, all this stuff, and now potentially taking this big company and selling it to someone like Amazon or Disney or Netflix or something like that, which could really happen, would have been inconceivable and a completely unthought of notion 30 years ago or something like that, if you would have thought it would have gotten to this point. So Vince deserves a lot of criticism, but he deserves a ton of credit, and he could live forever, man. Hope he's all right. Check out my Twitter. Ali cut the promo of the night, Deshaun says. What the hell did he say on Twitter? Isn't that funny that the promo of the night in wrestling comes on social media? Oh, it's on Raw Talk or whatever. Oh, he's pissed. Oh, Ali's pissed about the legends. Oh, Ron Killings calls him Seth Rollins. I better turn this down. I don't want to get flagged. Charlie said, did you hear the cheers? Girl, there's no fans there. It's virtual. I mean, they're cheers, but they're not real. Did you hear the cheers? No, actually, I didn't. This is a great promo, I'm sure, as I'm listening to it. But what this tells me is that WWE is self-aware. For him to cut a promo like this means that WWE knows how stupid they are. What kind of world is this? It's like they know. This tells me that they know what they have to do to fix it. They know what they have to do to, you know, maybe give the fans a little bit more interest. They know that they are wasting a lot of talent. You know, when Ali says things like that in his promo, that means WWE is aware of this. They're aware, and they choose not to do anything about it, which is even more fucked up. It's even more infuriating than them being stupid and oblivious to it. Oh, weird. Well, good for you, Ali. Shellshock, I have no idea if Vince was abused as a child or not in terms of confirmation, you know, but feels like he might have been, man, or something. I don't know. Do I hear the hair dryers? No. I got it off now. Well, good for Ali for going on Raw Talk. I mean, Raw Talk has provided, so is Talking Smack. They both provided some really interesting, you know, breakout promos. You know, The Miz had that great one a year ago against Daniel Bryan. Big E has most recently done some great shit with Paul Heyman. Now Ali. And, you know, the New Day had the nice touching tribute to Brody Lee. So they can always provide some really, you know, kind of real thoughts and a little bit more authentic and legitimate, you know, comments and sides of wrestlers' personality that can help the fans grow on them more. You know, so I think that's a useful tool, especially when you have these moments happening so frequently on Raw Talk. But, you know, what's wrong with doing any of this shit on TV, you know? Instead of all the stupid shit they had there. I'm glad everybody's laughing at Charlie for saying there's cheers when there's no fans. Chuck, we love you, girl, but come on now. Come on now. Let's not be crazy. Oh, I didn't see that. They're finally putting Wrestling Challenge on the network. That's awesome. Y'all want to see something cool? Luckily, I have my pants on today. I bought this. There's no room to hang it up. I don't even know if you can see it. Anyway, Wrestling Challenge banner. I've got an AWA one and a WCW one hung up, and I can't really figure out where to put this guy. So, yeah, Wrestling Challenge. I'm glad that's going on the network finally. I have a few seasons of it recorded from back in the day, which are better because they're going to be unedited, but, you know, having a clear quality Oh, I can see it now. Oh, yeah, I was able to hold it in the screen pretty good. It's not bad. Good job, Greg. Can I please read your comment from before? Well, how far before, man? There's like a lot of comments in here. Oh, maybe the one here? What did you say? Oh, about Keith Lee turning heel? And joining the Hurt Business? Maybe. Again, we talked about that in recent weeks. I just worry. I don't want to... I don't know. I don't want to put tension with Lashley. You know, to me, there needs to be one dominant player. And if you put a Keith Lee in there, then you have like an automatic power struggle, which that's the current problem right now with what they have, you know, on the undercard, so to speak, of the Hurt Business. You know, plus I don't think it necessarily needs to be a rule that needs to be all black guys in there either. It would be fun if they added an Owen Hart or something, you know, just one guy would be so fucking funny. Keith Lee is big, he's bad, he's strong, he'd fit in the Hurt Business in terms of who he is and stuff, but I don't know if I'd want him in there with Lashley. You know, I want Lashley to be the dominant, clear front runner of that faction with nobody there to challenge him. And I think Keith Lee would do that. And I'm just very all about Lashley right now. And I'm more invested in his program than Lee's, or his push and his success than Lee's at the moment. Like Keith Lee a lot. I think it would be an absolute criminal crime shame if he goes his whole career and doesn't become world champion. But in the short term, I'm Team Lashley right now. So I'd be nervous for that. Spectra, appreciate the $5 as well. Hey, Greg, didn't watch Raw. Was watching Wrestle Kingdom 15 instead. Did you watch it yet? Also, any Fiend Bliss stuff tonight? Oh, you must have been watching night 1. I'm like, you're not watching it yet, are you? It's not on yet. I thought it came on at midnight. But yeah, night 2 coming up later. No Fiend Bliss stuff. We didn't see Alexa Bliss. I thought for sure we were going to see Alexa Bliss. And we didn't see the Fiend either, but we did see Randy Orton. He was running around fucking with all the legends. I thought they could have stacked up this card a lot better. Plus, it's January 4th. This is a significant day. Not only is it the date of Wrestle Kingdom every year, but we've had big shit go down. Mick Foley beat The Rock in that famous 1999 Monday Night Raw episode where all those people changed channels from Nitro when Tony Schiavone gave away the result. And Austin interfered and was the best crowd pops and crowd reactions and title matches of all fucking time. Happened on January 4th. The Finger Poke of Doom happened on January 4th. Happened on the same night, as a matter of fact, didn't it? That happened. We had the Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels handshake from a few years ago, or from a decade ago, along with TNA jumping to Monday Night Raw. January 4th is a significant date in wrestling. A lot of big shit has gone down, and tonight did not live up to the January 4th history, if you ask me. In the legacy of January 4th, this was the worst fucking Raw I've ever seen. They should have done better. They should have had something else. Like I said, they closed strong with a great main event. Like or hate Goldberg, which I hate him, there was still a legend coming back and setting up the stage for a title match at the Royal Rumble. So they accomplished a lot in the last segment. Great title match with 2 great wrestlers who gave us a great match and a good finish. And now we know what we're going to see at Royal Rumble, so that was good. But the rest of it, they could have had the Fiend return. They could have had the Fiend to attack Orton. They could have had the Fiend attack IRS. They could have done a million other different things here with the legends that would have been more enjoyable and, and more worth their time, I suppose. You know, if you're a young wrestler, that's what you want. You want to grow up to be a legend who's brought to TV in their 60s and sits in hair and makeup all day and then goes out there for 9 seconds on TV. And that's all you get. And then you go home. You know, who wants that? So you don't want to have them involved in storylines and winning matches and everything, but have them do something a little bit less predictable than just silly backstage skits that are just silly. We've seen them for 20 fucking years now, the same shit. So get creative with them. I guess they tried. Ric Flair grabbed Charlotte's ankle by accident. She got pissed at him. The feel-good ones can be good. Like, I liked Teddy Long coming out. I thought that was funny. The way they had the Miz and Morrison. I mean, the match was pointless, but Miz and Morrison, the New Day, arguing with each other, and then you hear Teddy Long's music, you knew. There was 3 notes into that music. You're like, tag team match. So things like that I can always bring a smile to my face, but a lot of the other stuff is really overdone, predictable, same shit. Every time they bring legends, they do the same stuff with them, and nothing ever really is any different. And they'll draw tomorrow a better rating because, you know, I think more people tuned in. We had a title match. We had the potential of the Fiend return, and we had these legends here. So even though the show sucked, it's going to bring in a better rating than it did a couple weeks ago when it got that 1.5. What did it get last week? 1.7? Trying to make a prediction here. Let's go 1.82 tomorrow for tomorrow's rating. 1.82. Remember that. If I get it right, tweet me because I'll probably forget to even check, and I'll forget what I said here. But maybe 1.82 million. We'll go with that, and see if we're on the ball. But the one thing that we don't want as wrestling fans actually is we don't want a big rating tomorrow. Like, you don't want to hope that, because what that means is WWE is going to say to themselves, oh, it worked, let's keep doing that. No, more Goldberg. That's what they're going to think. So what I think we need here tomorrow, for the sake of a wrestling fan, it's one of those retreat to move forward situations. We need a bad rating to really wake WWE up, because if they're like, okay, the legends aren't getting it done either, maybe we really should think about changing our ways a little bit. So I can't believe I'm usually not negative. I know there's plenty of people out there that hate the company, that I hate AEW or I hate WWE, and you actually want them to get low ratings. I think that's stupid and counterproductive, but this is a situation where I kind of do want that. I kind of want them to get a really, really low rating to where they can be told clear as day that the fans don't give a shit about this stuff. You know, bring out the legends sometimes. Legends can be fun. I have no problem seeing them around. But if you're using that as a reason to get a good rating, you got some serious problems, man. If you can't get a good rating without them, they're a bonus. They should be a bonus. They should be an extra, you know, a little fun addition to the show here or there. You should never rely on them. And sometimes, and especially in this situation, after that bad rating, they immediately announced the show, which tells me they're relying on them. And that's a big mistake. You fucking morons. Deshaun, there, I think you're mentioning referencing the Mick match. Appreciate $5 more, dude. Where were you 22 years ago today when Mick Foley beat The Rock for the WWE title? Were you among the 600K that switched over from Raw to Nitro, or from Nitro to Raw? No, I knew it was going to happen because I got the spoilers. So I was actually at work. I've told this story before. I took 1 year off in my 30 years in restaurants, or 28. I took 1 year off. I decided to get out of the game a little bit, try something else, and I became a manager of a check cashing like loan store. Just wanted to do something a little bit less fast paced until I realized that's where I belonged. And it was basically an office job. I gave out loans all day. I did 9 to 5, the whole deal. And I was at work one day, just middle of the day. My friend Daniel, who might be watching in the chat, I don't know, he called me and told me what happened. He spoiled it for me. He goes, Mick Foley won the fucking title at Raw, because back in those days, they did Raw on Tuesdays. They would do Raw live. The next night they'd tape the following week's Raw. So it was out, and I'm like, holy shit. And I was surprised. I'm like, they put the title on Mankind. So you hear what happened, but you don't see it. You don't visually see it. So you have to wait and see how it goes down. And when it went down, it was 100 times more. I wish I would have been able to watch that without knowing. I wish they would have done that on a taped show, or I'm sorry, on a live show. That was another part that really surprised me, because even though that was 99 and the internet wasn't as accessible as now, it was a lot more accessible than it was. And it was relatively easy, you know, to hear spoilers and things like that. So I couldn't believe they did a title change of that magnitude on television and on a taped show, no less, where if they would have done it on a live show like they did in 98 a couple of times, there would have been, you know, so awesome. But they did it on the tape show, so I knew about it. And if I would have been able to see that as it happened and been truly shocked, you know, when the match was going on, you had the whole corporation out there. And then when Austin's music, it's still my favorite Austin pop of all time. When that music hit, that crowd exploded out of their seats. I mean, it was like, which is just so silly too. This is a wrestling match. The referee's like got his back turned. I'm like, motherfucker, you can't hear Austin's music. You know, you don't know he's out there with a chair. And even Earl, I think, even saw him with the chair at the end, still didn't even do anything about it. And he came in, hit the Rock with a chair, and then the big 1, 2, 3, while all the fans counting and the fucking crowd exploding, and Vince McMahon and the corporation is freaking out, and Austin is giving him the finger. It was a wonderful moment 22 years ago today. And I watched it live on Raw right there in my apartment, but I knew about it the week before, so I was aware going in. But it didn't make it any less cool. It was so cool to see Mick win that, and, you know, DX out there with him. And then the next week he got new music and shit like that. I was just looking back, I'm really surprised it took place on a tape show, which was weird. So technically he won that in 98. He won that because it was taped in December, and then it aired January 4th. So that went head to head with the finger poke, you know. Shivani. That'll put a lot of butts in seats. We'll put a lot of eyes on the TV, you dumb shit. Digit Video, appreciate the $2. Thank you, man. Oh, Spectre, I missed half of your super chat. My bad. Oh, you asked me about. Oh yeah, I thought you knew that I watched. I've already talked about it. I just went through all the results of night one. Yes, Spectre, I did watch Wrestle Kingdom live last night. I live on the West Coast, so I am able to watch it because it doesn't air until midnight, or airs at midnight for me, which is reasonable because I stay up all night anyway. So yeah, I watched the whole thing as it happened, and I plan on doing the same thing for night two. But yeah, I did watch Wrestle Kingdom. Sorry, I thought you knew that. My bad. I got to remember that some people don't sit here and watch me for 2 fucking hours. They they sometimes tune in near the end and they don't know what I've already talked about. Yeah, my bad. My bad. First Raw of 2021 was a letdown. I totally agree. Except for that main event. That's the thing. As much as I want to shit on this Raw, I do not want this to be any sort of disrespect whatsoever to Keith Lee or Drew McIntyre. They put on a great main event. They showed us what the word main event was truly meant for. They put on a good title match, no complaints. But the rest of the card and, just the overall booking in WWE, what they think we want to fucking see, is ridiculous. Ridiculous. I get that question every day. Isaiah, early predictions for both Royal Rumble winners. A month ago, I had Bianca Belair and Big E. I'm going to rule out Big E now because he's Intercontinental Champion. I just don't think it's in the cards. I'd like to keep Bianca Belair for the Royal Rumble. A lot of people want Rhea Ripley, but I want Rhea to win the Chamber. Chamber just fits her better. It's badass. It's a heavy metal structure, and she's a heavy metal chick. So let her win that, get the title shot against whatever at WrestleMania. Maybe it's Asuka and Charlotte and Rhea. Ripley, triple threat. Maybe it's Rhea and Charlotte rematch. Would love that. But in terms of the Rumble, right now, I'm still on Team Bianca for her to potentially challenge Sasha Banks. I know they teamed up this past week on SmackDown. So we'll see how that all goes. Bayley could still get involved. Bayley could win the Rumble. Who knows? But in terms of the women, barring Rousey coming back, I don't want to see Charlotte win it again. I think she can... What's probably going to happen is maybe she gets a title shot against Asuka at the Royal Rumble and beats her and goes into Mania as champion to potentially lose to Rhea Ripley. But then where does that leave Asuka type of thing? I don't know. So I guess right now I'm going to stick with Bianca. And for the men, since I've ruled out Big E, you just got to think about who makes sense, who and which champion they're going to challenge. You could do somebody jumping, I suppose, to the other brand and challenging the other guy if you really wanted to. So I don't know how that's going to go down. I'd love to see Bobby Lashley win it, but I'd also like to see him get a title shot later on the year. It doesn't have to be WrestleMania. Not everybody can get a title shot at WrestleMania. Lashley can get his at SummerSlam. I'm fine with that. So I can rule Lashley out maybe. Again, somebody coming back. I don't know. I really don't know who the front runner right now is for the men. I think Daniel Bryan would be super fun. Kevin Owens, I'd love to see, but he's going to be involved in something, probably a last man standing match or something like that at the Royal Rumble with Roman. So maybe Daniel Bryan right now would be the most fun because it could be a real big way to, just maybe it's to right those wrongs. I think 2014 and 15 were both two back-to-back extremely disappointing Royal Rumbles that nearly led to riots both times. And both of those times, a lot of mostly revolved around the love the fans had for Daniel Bryan. So if he came back here and won and, got a title match at WrestleMania, that could be fun. But I'm not sure if a Roman and Daniel Bryan match really fits the marquee for WrestleMania. Maybe a Roman and Goldberg would, a Roman and Rock would, maybe even a Roman and Drew rematch could. Maybe they do take the belt off of Drew and give it to Goldberg, and then something happens or whatever. And then, Drew, he's mentioned that he still has another match with Roman on the horizon one day. A lot of people think that he might get his win back there over Roman. So maybe he enters WrestleMania as a challenger and beats Roman for the Universal title. And then somebody else beats Goldberg for the world title. Brock is going to be coming back. Don't sleep on Brock winning that fucking Royal Rumble either. Edge could win the Royal Rumble. I'd go Brock, Edge, Daniel Bryan. I'm going to rule out Keith Lee right now. I like him, but just I feel like he doesn't fit at the moment. Yeah, somebody like that. Probably not Randy Orton. John Cena is another name that I would love to see come back and do something. But Rumble, challenging for the title at WrestleMania, I don't think so. I think Cena will win the title again one day, but maybe not here at WrestleMania. Maybe the Fiend somehow. Maybe they do the Funhouse match with Randy Orton and then Bray Wyatt wins the Rumble. I don't know. Brock is done with WWE, you heard? You heard wrong. I mean, you might have heard that. And he might be done with WWE for the moment right now, and he might even be done with WWE for this year. Maybe he doesn't come back for WrestleMania 37, but he'll be back. He'll wrestle again. There's no way that match with Drew was his last match. No way in hell. Sheamus winning the Rumble. Man, has he won it yet? Didn't he win it once? I don't know. Thought he did. Maybe not. I don't want to. I mean, I like Sheamus. I don't hate Sheamus, but I don't know if I want to see him win the Rumble. Daniel Bryan had the best odds. Yeah, Big E would be fine. And like I said this on Saturday. There is no rule that says the Intercontinental Champion can't win the Royal Rumble. I just feel like WWE cannot multitask. They can't. So if he's champion, they're going to be focused on that and the Sami Zayn shit or Baron Corbin or whoever the fuck else he's going to be working with right now for the title. It's going to be about that, and that's it. He might even be in the Rumble, but I can't see him winning it. Just can't see it. And I said, like, if anybody, I had the long running pitch that Lashley should stay United States champion until he gets a title shot next year. And how cool would it be if Lashley went into SummerSlam with the U.S. title to face the champion, whoever that was, Roman or Drew or Brock or whoever, and won and was double champion. And then just forfeited the U.S. title. They had a tournament for it. You know, like I said, like there's no downside to really making Lashley a invincible monster for a year. The fact that WWE doesn't see money in this is ridiculous to me. Sheamus won in 2011 or no, 2012. Yeah, I thought he won the Rumble. I don't want him to win again. Oh yeah, Del Rio won. Styles winning could be cool. But then again, you know, he just came off a couple title shots this year. I don't know if they're going to put the belt back on him or not again before he retires. And if they do, I don't know if WrestleMania is the spot for that. You know, we've seen Roman and AJ. We've seen Drew and AJ. He had a big match with Undertaker last year. I mean, AJ's always in the hunt, but I don't feel like he fits either. Guys like, yeah, AJ, Keith Lee, I'm kind of ruling them out, sort of. Or any sort of, because there's only 2 title matches at WrestleMania. Unless you do one of them a triple threat, which is possible, only 4 guys can face for the title. 2 champions, 2 challengers. So, got to narrow that shit down. And if it's hard for us to decide, imagine how hard it is for WWE, who they don't know how to tie their own fucking shoes. So we can't even figure it out. I don't know what the hell they're going to do. Oh yeah, I mentioned Sonya on Saturday during my SmackDown results, Isaiah. I am surprised they brought her back like that because she didn't do anything. They showed her walking backstage, but she didn't have a promo, right? No promo in the ring, no interview. And she was just there to speak to WWE officials. So I'm sure she's gotten back in the door and that loser leaves town bullshit is done and she's back. But I don't know, maybe having her return in the Rumble would have been better and having her win it. But I like Sonya a lot and I really want her to be a major player and this should be the start of it. So yeah, she can be on the list. I know I've said Bianca Belair, but you know, if it's Sonya, I'm fine with Sonya. I just like Bianca. I think she's awesome. Yeah, I'd like to see in maybe the summertime or something like that, Kevin Owens get another run, you know, something big there for him, like a title, because I think he really proved himself here in this program with Roman Reigns. He's done great work, and whatever they wind up doing at the Royal Rumble with these 2 guys, which is likely going to be another match of some kind, I'm sure he's going to perform there as well. And, you know, maybe much like Austin at WrestleMania 13 with Brett, you know, took a whole nother year, you know, but that match really set him on the course and got him the attention and the respect that he deserved from the right people that needed to notice it. And plus the fans got really behind him, and the fans are very, very behind Kevin Owens. So he's another guy that if they don't, you know, try something with, I think they're foolish. I think they're absolutely foolish. We laid out a great scenario on Saturday for the Royal Rumble match because we don't know what they're going to do yet with those guys. But they've already done a cage match. They've already done a TLC match. And Roman has had an I Quit and a Hell in a Cell with Jay. So Roman's done a shitload of stips already. But you can't have all those stip matches and then have a regular one-on-one match. I mean, you could, but it seems unlikely that WWE would do that. And since the big story in the program here is Jey Uso single-handedly saving this title for Roman Reigns' ass, and Kevin Owens saying that, hey, the only reason you're champ is because asshole over here pulled me off the ladder 75 times when I had you beat every single fucking time and handcuffed me to the steel cage. I mean, I literally had you beat every time, and your asshole cousin is fucking up the works. So he faced him on SmackDown, beat his ass. And so what I think they'll probably do, Owens took the table bump. He might be off next week selling the bump, come back, make a stip. A lot of people say last man standing. That would be great. Last man standing would be super fun, and I'd be into that. But since the story here is Jay interfering so much, you could also do if Jay interferes, Roman loses the title, type of thing. And that's what we laid out. And then you can have Jay interfere in the match, attack Kevin Owens, referee then calls for the bell, awards the title to Kevin Owens, the ring announcer announces him as champion, his music plays, and he celebrates up the ramp, only to reveal that Jay takes off his hat to reveal that it's really Jimmy, which means he didn't break the stipulation, and the referee has no choice but to do a restart. And since the stipulation states Jimmy can't interfere, or Jay can't interfere, not Jimmy. Jimmy's still out there. Roman, he can help Roman win, and Roman beats Kevin Owens and just gets ultimate heat. Owens had the belt. He had the celebration. He had the announcement. He was champ for 30 seconds, and then when they realized it wasn't Jay who interfered, they reverse it. If a crowd was present for that, and if they had people in the audience, I think that would be a huge reaction from the crowd. And I referenced whatever, I forgot what it was. I think it was Battleground or something. It was the match when Seth Rollins was champion. And he lost the title or something, and at the very end, or maybe against Dean Ambrose, and then they reversed the decision or whatever, or maybe made it a disqualification, which meant he retained the title, and he did that funny cross-eyed celebration. It's like, and just fucking wigged out, something like that. It kind of reminds me of that. So maybe doing a stip in that direction might be fun because it would give Owens the actual win, and he'd celebrate, and the crowd would, or the Thunderdome would go nuts, only to pull the rug out from under us and take it all away. The reaction of a live audience would be much more fun for that, but a live audience might still be unlikely. And if a live audience is unlikely for the Royal Rumble, I have one request by WWE. If you're going to do the Thunderdome for the Royal Rumble, you're in Tropicana Field. It's a baseball stadium where your past few WrestleManias have been, or Royal Rumbles have been, excuse me. Reconfigure your shit. Move it and do it the way you did at the other ones and have the entranceway in the dugouts. If they don't do that, it's going to make me so mad because it'd be so lazy. I'm like, fuckers, you're right there, man. Just move the aisleway. How hard is this? I'll do it. I'll be there tomorrow. I'll move all those chairs one by one. So I think that they could set up the set to look at least a little bit unique, even if there's no fans in the audience. So we'll see if Royal Rumble is good or not. Hopefully it is. But I've been talking now. I'm going 2 hours now, so I'm probably going to go ahead and get out of here. Thanks for another super chat there, Barry, coming in last minute. Appreciate the 5. Who do you like more as a wrestler, Ronda or Molly Holly? Holy crap. Who do I like more as a wrestler? I love Molly, man. She's the best. But Ronda was pretty damn impressive, and I'm going Ronda. I mean, obviously Molly's the veteran and stuff, and the right answer for smart wrestling fans is Molly. But you know what? Ronda fit with wrestling the same way Kurt Angle did. Came in from an outside combat sport and transitioned into this one seamlessly. Maybe didn't do it quite as good as Kurt, but fucking close to Kurt. So I think based on just Ronda's ability to adapt to her new, job in such a short amount of time, and to be out there performing, and her very first match ever was arguably the best match on that whole card at WrestleMania. It might be a short resume, but it's a strong resume. So I'm going Ronda. Sorry, Molly. You know I love you. Oh, is that what it was, Looney Tune? I don't remember. I just remember the cross-eyed Seth. That's all I remember. I reviewed it. It's probably on my channel somewhere. I just don't remember what the fuck happened. But it was a ladder match, Dean and Seth, and they both fell with the title, and Seth retained because he held it last. Okay. Yeah, I thought it was something where I thought it was like Dean was actually announced the champion, and then it was reversed or something like that. I don't remember, but Seth was very happy. So something similar to that, doing that with Roman and adding a stipulation where Jay can interfere, because they're making a big deal about that. You've noticed that, right? And they haven't made any mention of Jimmy on TV. He's shown up that one time, but hasn't been around. It's like they're trying to get us to forget about him. It's all been about Jay. So if they make the stip, if Jay interferes, you lose the title. You just have Jimmy interfere instead, and it's like a fun swerve. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But anyway, I am kind of hungry, so I'm going to get out of here now, guys. I appreciate you hanging out with me tonight and talking about Raw. As of right now, I don't have any plans to be here prior to Saturday. Got a double shot this weekend, Saturday Winged Eagle podcast and Sunday Classic Royal Rumble review. But who knows? I might be able to get up here earlier on in the week to talk about something. And like I said, of course, we've got night 2 of Wrestle Kingdom coming up in less than 2 hours. So I'll be watching that. And I'm not ruling out a chance to get up here and at least show my face this week. It might happen. Otherwise, I will catch you guys on Saturday for the Winged Eagle podcast at normal time of 3:30 p or 3 o'clock p.m. So please be here. You guys take care. Have a good rest of your